Hey, yeah. Very excited. You're going to make a lot of decisions today. In fact, the average person will make about 35,000 decisions in one day. And that's a lot. And that's why you're tired, right? You're like, bleh. Just tired of making it. Ever get home and you go like, I don't want to make one more decision. What are we going to eat tonight? I don't want to make one more decision. Okay. And so sometimes that happens, right? You just overload. But I tell you what, the decisions that you make over the next 30 minutes are super important. Like, I really think that if we can get this one solved, like we will help a lot of marriages. If we don't get this solved, it's just going to be chaos. So today's vow is for rich, for poor. And you probably have both. Like if you get married, you're probably going to have both, right? And you might have it multiple times. But this is the money talk, which I know goes over so well. It's kind of like talking to junior hires about sex. It's going to go great, right? It's just going to go great. And when I talk about money, most of you will not make eye contact with me. You're like, whatever. What's the score, right? And you're already checking it out, right? And that's a bad decision. Don't be making that decision. I don't want to see your phone pulled out right now. Don't do that. So, but I hope that you will find some strength here as we talk about this very, very important area. When you start dating, the last thing you're going to talk about probably, like if you're just starting, you're not thinking about money. Well, you might be, because like if he pulls up in a really great car, you're going, okay, dokie, right? And, he takes you to a nice place to eat, all that kind of stuff. But you're probably eyeballing, like you're thinking, gosh, this is very nice. I wonder if he's using mommy's credit card, right? You're thinking about that. You don't know. And by the way, if he is, you should look for somebody else. Like that would be bad, right? I over the next few minutes here, you're going to hear how old I am because I have opinions about this stuff. So, if you're going out and you're going to eat and the guy doesn't pay for it, gals, bye-bye. I'd look somewhere else. And that's just old-fashioned nonsense mostly, but at the same time, there's something about that. I watched this happen this week. I was at Ricardo's, one of my favorite places to eat. John knows that I go there even if I don't catch much fish. So this is up in Norfolk, and I'd gone fishing and had a horrible experience. I caught one little fish, and I was exhausted and tired, but I knew that Ricardo's would save my soul. It's my favorite place to stop. And so I'm in line, and it's taken a while to get up to the front. And right in front of me is a couple, and they're dating. You could tell they don't have rings or that kind of stuff. And so they get up to the counter, finally get up to the counter, and she orders a baby burrito grande, a little one. And which is, I get the big burrito grande, and the little burrito grande is like $10, and mine's 13 something, and that's expensive. Okay, right? Well, the guy, she gets out her card. And he orders next, and he ordered an $18 something or another. I don't even know what I can't even look at an $18 thing if you're standing in line ordering, right? Like if you're sitting down, $18 makes sense. But if you're standing and ordering it, $18 makes 0 sense, right? And okay. And then I have to go get my food, and anyway, $18. That's the most expensive thing on the thing. And she swipes it, and okay. And he's having a great time, right? He's having a great time. I got the $18 thing. This is great, but at the same time, you're probably like when you're dating, after a few dates, you might be thinking, I wonder, right? You're just wondering. I wonder if the car he's driving, if he's got a 7-year loan on that thing. Like you don't know. And you don't want to bring it up, but you're thinking about it. And you're also going, this is their 3rd year in college. I wonder how much student loans there are here. Okay. But you don't want to bring that up. You can't. Right, you're still trying to impress. And so you don't want to, hey, by the way, how's that student loan thing? Yeah, you don't know, right? And so you're trying to figure it out. And most of us will totally, we won't pay attention. We won't pay attention to this at all. And so the vow, I will stay with you in rich or for poor this is very, very important. And there will be times of rich and poor stuff. Like, unless you, of course, you wait real long and you've been in a career and you've got 10 years under your belt and you've saved a lot of money, right? But the other person probably didn't. What we find is that most couples will, there'll be a saving person and a spending person, right? And for some reasons, the savers are attracted to the spenders, and the spenders are attracted to the savers. And they meet, and they fall in love. And one has a totally different view of money than the other person does. And this is especially true if you are a Christian and the other person's not a Christian. It is just a clash of different value systems altogether. But if you can get on the same page with this, this will solve a lot of problems. And so we're going to talk about it. The reason we talk about it is that Jesus talked about it. 16 out of the 38 parables was about money. There are 2,300 verses in the Bible about money. Less than 500 about faith. Like, we're all about faith. But actually, the Bible's really more about money than faith, and there's a whole lot of connections here as well. So Matthew 6, this is Jesus' words. Don't get mad at me about this because it's Jesus, right? So, don't store up treasures here on earth. We're really good at that. We're really good at storing up treasures. And here's what can happen. Where moths eat them and rust destroys them, and thieves break in and steal. Now, we probably don't have them. We don't have moths eating our stuff. And we probably don't have rust. Well, maybe in Nebraska we do. Yes, we have rust here. And we have thieves that break in and steal. So he's just telling us, be careful with this, with your stuff, right? Store your treasures in heaven where moss and rust cannot destroy and thieves can't break in and steal. So there's nothing that can touch you when you are investing in heaven stuff. Wherever, and this is the most, almost everybody hates this verse. This is a terrible verse. Like, they don't like it at all. And I've had more arguments about this verse with Christian people than probably any other faith thing. Wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will also be. And the reason that people, whoa, that can't be true, because I love Jesus a lot, but they don't give any money. And they're arguing with me about this all the time. They're like, well, yeah, I love Jesus. Yes, I do. I love Jesus, but I don't give a dime. And they argue about that. That can't be right. That can't be right. But we know it to be true, right? That when we start putting money in a certain place, or maybe even a certain institution, all of a sudden our hearts are going that direction. I have a couple of little kiddos that I sponsor in South America, in Nicaragua and in Ecuador, and I think about those countries all the time. I think about them. I think about those kids all the time. I long to get a letter from one of my little kiddos and to hear how they're doing and what they're thinking about, because my money is going directly to help them. So when Ecuador is playing in the World Cup or something like that, I'm Team Ecuador. I'm getting all behind those guys. Team Nicaragua, Team India, where some of my money goes. By the way, I think about you guys all the time too. I give to Stonebridge, and as a result of that, my heart grows more and more fonder the more and more I sacrifice to give for this place. I think it's incredibly unique and lovely and wonderful. And so when I give, I think, in fact, I wasn't here last Sunday. I was in Louisville, Kentucky. I was in a spectacular auditorium, and we were having great worship, but I thought of you. I thank my God every time I remember you. Partly because of what I see in your faith, but also because I give to advance the cause in Christ. You want to fall in love more with your church? Give. You'll pay more attention to it. You'll think about it. You'll pray about it. So our hearts do tend to follow our money. When I give to God, my heart goes that direction. When I don't give to God, it goes to Target. Okay? Matthew 6:24. See what I mean about, like, okay, nobody will laugh at that one. That was a good one, by the way. That was really good. Okay, I don't know. Matthew 6:24. No one can serve two masters. You're going to hate one, love the other. You'll be devoted to one, despise the other. You cannot, listen to this, and I didn't make this up, and I didn't say this is Jesus said it. So if you don't like this is Jesus stuff. And you can argue with Jesus at all, but by the way, he speaks truth. He never lies to us. Okay? You cannot serve God and be enslaved to money. If money is your master, God is not. And if I was helping young couples today in premarital stuff, and we're sitting down and talking, and we're finally at that point where like, hey, we're getting married soon, that I would talk about their heart. I want your heart, right, to be strong and courageous. And we would talk about money, because where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. It starts there. Acts 20. And these are more words of Jesus. And I have been a constant example of how you can help those in need by working hard. You should remember, you probably don't, but we should remember. And when you hear that in Scripture, it's probably because they forgot about it. So it's brought up. You should remember the words of Jesus. And so he invokes the word of Jesus here. It is more blessed to give than to receive. And we know that to be true, right? Now, when you're little, that's not true. It's more blessed to get, right? You're dreaming about Christmas, you're dreaming about birthdays. You got 2 days a year, you're cashing in big time. Because you don't have money. You don't have a way to get money and to buy things. And so you want, it is more blessed to get than to receive. But what everybody knows at that moment, in those moments, that are giving you stuff, it is more blessed to give. I find great enjoyment out of giving to my grandkids. I mean, not always. I mean, sort of. But I mean, I find great joy in that. And when I give to my kids, and when I give to my wife, all that stuff, my heart just goes there. And you know that to be true. The more mature you get, the more you realize. And by the way, I say the more mature you get in your relationship with God, the more you realize it's truly true. It is more blessed to give than to receive. Proverbs 3 says, honor the Lord with your wealth, with the best part of everything you produce. Then he will fill your barns with grain, and your vats will overflow with good wine. Luke 6, Jesus again, give and you will receive. Your gift will return to you in full, pressed down, shaken together, and make room for more, running over, poured into your lap. The amount you give will determine the amount you get back. This is probably the most uncomfortable conversation that you have as couples, right? And if you're dating, it's not a really fun one. And if you're married, it's certainly not a real fun as well. But the more serious you get, you should ask. You should be asking the questions, because you don't want to be surprised, like when you get married and all of it, because eventually you're going to combine stuff. You're going to combine stuff, and when you combine income and when you combine all debt, all that stuff, you become one. That's one of the ways you become one. If you separate the things, you're always going to be wondering, what's he doing with his money and what she's doing with her money? And how come she's got so much and how come I have zero and all that kind of stuff? And then you're borrowing money from your spouse, and it's just weird, right? It's super, super weird. And if you're dating, and if you're engaged, don't combine income. Don't combine. Don't hey, let's get the same bank accounts. This is so cute. It's not cute. It's not. Because a lot of you, you might be dating someone you're super serious about, and you combine stuff, and you move in, and you start sharing. You buy a house together, and all that stuff before you're married. It'll be a colossal mess if you break up. It just will. And you think divorces are rough. It's just harder. It's just so hard because you have you have nothing to be able to say, well, that was my money and this is my, and you're just going to fight about it, and it's just going to be horrid. So don't do that. Don't combine stuff before, it'll be bad. Now you might be able to navigate through some of that stuff and you wade your way through that stuff, but it just creates a lot of tension. The first thing, though, probably when you get back from the honeymoon, is to combine stuff. As soon as that, the pastor says, here we go, right? and you sign stuff. I wouldn't do it on the honeymoon, but or on the altar or anything like that. So hey, by the way, just a second, we need a second, and we're combining, boom, and you don't do that. But when you get home, then you combine some things and you begin to share and become one, and you manage that together. The University of Kansas State found out that the number one cause of divorce in America is money problems. The number one cause. It's not sexual infidelity. It's not alcohol. It's not anger. It is simply money stress that causes couples to give up. Because money touches every single area of our marriage. So it's important to combine, and the trust becomes a little bit more evident when you do this. Otherwise, you will always be wondering. So you combine, and then you have to, that's the easy part. It really is easy to combine. And by the way, I've talked with a lot of couples who have combined, and they go, I had no idea. I had no idea she had so much debt. I had no idea he had all that student loan. I had no idea. And that is a scary place to be. That is a very, very scary place to be. Because whether you're rich or poor, it is important to know how to manage God's money. Okay? If you're a Christ follower, you see the money that you receive as God's money. It's not your money, you're managing it for God, and that changes the whole occasion. And usually, we talked about it. There's a spender and a saver in the deal, and if both are spenders, it's going to be right. It's going to be tough. And both are spenders, or savers, you ain't going to have no fun. So you need to have a balance, right? It's okay to have a balance. When you combine, you begin to look at it, and you come up with a budget. And especially if you just need to do that. Linda and I have, over the years, had certain seasons where we had zip, and we're trying to make our way through, and it was pretty tight, and we did those kind of things, and we had several of those moments in our marriage where, oh gosh, we don't have enough to do with this, and so food things or whatever. So we have a meeting of the minds every so often. Now it's just kind of like a once a year, maybe twice a year, where we sit down and go, okay, how we doing? And how's the things, then we're able to make strategic decisions to really get after some things we want to be able to do and experience. So if I was counseling you today, and I would say, okay, you need to sit down and come up with a budget, and that's a decision. Nobody wants to make that decision because budgets are absolutely zero fun. They're not fun at all. But the first thing on the budget, I would put 10% to God. What? Yeah, I would put that. The first thing on the budget item, because we just talked about that. Didn't we talk about that? Yeah. I'm sure it's in here. Honor the Lord with your wealth, and with the best part of everything you produce. Okay? So we're going to, as Christ followers, we're going to honor the Lord with our wealth. So on there, we're going to put 10%. And we go, oh, okay, this is how much money I make, and what's 10%? And we'd put that out there. So we're going to give God 10%. And today, it's a very easy thing to do. It's hard, but it's easy to set that up. We don't even pass trays anymore. You can just totally ignore that. So, but when you get out the little app thing, or you go online, you're like, hey, I'm going to punch in the numbers. You can really, truly make great decisions. And it's always taken out. And so Linda and I, now for a long time, have been giving online, and it's so easy, and it's so helpful, and I'm more generous than I ever have been, ever in my life, because I put that in there. Now, we've always been tithers, and even before we got married, we were giving to the Lord, to our local church, the church we attended, and the church I preached at. I preached at a little church. Some of you know this story. We averaged about 20 people, and Linda and I tithed to that church, and they were like, "What?" No, and again, it was. And so I was paying most of my salary all the time. So that was kind of the deal. But at the same time, we just said, hey, we believe in this, and we're going to give to our local church. And that church began to be more generous as we continue to grow. So we would put first things first, we're going to give to God. And that's a big number. 10% is a big number. But I've never met a Christian who doesn't want to tithe. But I've met a lot of Christians who don't. But I think we'd all go, well, yeah, I'd like to be able to do that. I want to do that. I think it'd be great if I could tithe, right? That's the thing. I want to do that. But most of us don't make the decision to do that. We just kind of blow it off, and we just think, oh, okay, it can't be that big a deal. But and then, by the way, I would, and this is a big number too. I would give 10% to savings. Right? It's like, okay, but we call this the 10-10-80 principle. 10% to God, first thing, 10% to savings, second thing, and then I live on 80%. And you're like, whoa, no, that's impossible. And it is. It's very, very hard. But I also know that if you do that, you're going to be in a great, great place. And if you budget, you will discover the joy. Hear me. You will discover the joy of having money. Because many of you probably said, well, I don't even know where my money goes. Okay. You should at least know. And we have loans. We have a mortgage. We want to go on a sweet vacation. I joined a golf league. I want a new fly rod for sure. We're on the cell phone plan. I want new carpeting. It's tricky stuff to live on 80%. Tricky stuff. But if you'll do that, you'll discover the joy. Here's the problem we're facing, is that the average credit card debt in America is $9,000. That's average. It's probably way more than that, right? Because some of us, we got several cards, we're dealing with that stuff, and we're just checking it out. But the interest rate is on a credit card is ginormous. It's terrible. And that's why you don't even want to look at it. It is so much money, and I think it's terrible. Actually, I probably shouldn't have said that, because probably the government's listening. But I just... the credit card, the interest rate on credit cards is off the charts. And that's why it's so hard to get out from underneath it. Average car loans, $25,000. It's probably way more, like if you buy a new car, golly, average student loan is $40,000. That's close to $80,000 to $100,000, and I haven't even talked about your house. And so it's no wonder we can't afford a house. It's because we got all this other debt stuff up to our eyeballs, and we can't find our way out. And that just creates a lot of tension. And that's why home ownership is so far out of reach. Have you noticed? I don't know if you noticed this, but it's a lot easier to go into debt than to get out of debt. It doesn't take anything long. And the problem with debt is what? You're a slave to whoever you borrowed money from. Parents, I'd be careful with this one. I wouldn't loan your kids money. I have given my kids money, and I don't expect it back. But I don't do much of that at all now. They can figure this out. Here's what happens if you loan your kids money. What are you going to talk about at Thanksgiving? Hey, you ever going to pay me? And you don't want to talk about that at Thanksgiving. You don't. You do not want to talk about that at Thanksgiving. Because you know what you're going to talk about at Christmas? Wow, must be nice. Given all those presents, you still owe me. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And I would introduce them to First National. Here you go. These guys will help you. What? Okay. And no, they will. They will help you get a loan. You can go on your sweet vacation if you want. You can buy your whatever. And then you are a slave to First National, but not to me. And so be very careful with that, parents. And I know that sounds awful. And I know it's hard. It really is. It's very hard right now. Everything's expensive. It's all rough. But you don't have much freedom if you are constantly having to borrow. And so perhaps the most spiritual thing that you can do today is to have a conversation with whoever you're dating, or like if you're far enough down the road on that, right? If you're very serious about it and you're making decisions and you're kind of like, hey, we should probably have the conversation what this looks like. And I'd probably say that if it's a lot of stress, that one of the things we can offer you here is some help. We have very wise people here that help people all the time with financial stuff. And we get calls all the time about, hey, can you give us some money and all that kind of stuff. And usually we sit down with them and say, well, we can help you budget and get to a spot where you're not having to do this all the time. And we can help a little, but we can't solve all your problems. So one of the ways we can help you solve a problem is getting in this. And I know that it's a very embarrassing conversation. It's very hard. And I know it's hard for people to admit, I've got a real problem. We're over our heads. We're fighting about this all the time, and we don't know what to do. Here's what you won't hear. You won't hear judgment from us. We are not in the judgment business. You won't hear anybody say, whoa, golly, what kind of stupid stuff you've been doing, right? We're not. Actually, what I hope you will hear, and I think you will, is you'll hear, well, yeah, that was me a year ago. That's where I was 2 years ago. And we got through this. And you can too. We have I would encourage you to use Financial Peace University. It's a wonderful organization. We used to use it a lot more here. We don't, but because now a lot of the stuff is online and you can just sign up for it, and you don't need us for that. But you can go and do it. And by the way, if you sign up for Financial Peace University, it'll suck all the fun out of your life. You won't have any fun for a long time. It's unfun. Like Ramsey is a very unfun person. I'd like to be his friend because I think he's a bazillionaire, but at the same time, he makes you take a look at some stuff and say, okay, how do we tackle these things? And for a while, it's just a lot of unfun things to do. But it's a great organization, and I've helped people with that as well. What I'd like to be able to do is tell a great story about you someday. Like the story we want to tell is one where it looks like, gosh, we came to church, and we in fact, on the way in, we were fighting about money. We were fighting about it, and it was horrible. And we came in here, and we pretended like we like each other, but we don't, because it's so stressful. And what I'd like to be able to do is tell the story is that's where we were, but here's where we are now. And we've discovered the joy and the freedom that comes from making good and wise decisions about finances. And we don't fight about it anymore. We don't. And the temperature of our marriage, all that stuff is just kind of... I want to lower the temperature in your living room. I probably shouldn't say this, but I will. So it heats up the bedroom. All right? No amens on that? Oh, yeah. Because it's really tough. Because money will follow that into the space, and you're just like, oh, I don't want to, and all that stuff. And until you got to get this worked out, it's a very stressful moment in a place. So, maybe the best decision you can make today is kind of like, hey, we should talk about this. And maybe we should find some help. And let's get on the same page. And that'd be a great day, right? Let's pray. God, thank you so much for what we have. And sometimes we look at what we have and we're not real happy about it. We'd like more. And so maybe it's my heart that's in trouble here. And so we begin today with our heart, looking at things, whether it's our giving or it's our spending or our income. And so we want to get on the same page with you and with each other. And let's start today. In Christ I pray. Amen. All right. You guys have a great day. We'll see you next weekend.